centroid of a triangle to find segment lengths. So first we're going to need to know what is the centroid of a triangle before we can use that information. So, and I've said this in other videos, and I'm going to say it pretty much in every single video. If you're not writing notes or looking at the explanation, you need to go back and start writing notes and look at explanations. Now, if you've already finished topics, yeah, obviously you can't go back to those. That's not what I mean. But if you're having trouble completing topics, the first step is to go back and look at the explanation. Write some notes down. Make sure you're paying attention. There's also videos available like this one to help you get through things. But I do expect you to write down notes. If you ask me questions and there's no notes written down, then you haven't taken the first step in learning the new process or the new type of problem that you're learning. So you definitely need to take that first step and write some notes. All right, so anyway, enough of the teacher lecture on that one. So the problem says the medians of triangle DEF are DK, LE, and FJ. And I'm going to go on here and say, so it's DK, and cross here, EL, and FJ, like this. So all these lines crisscrossing around here, these are all medians. And we learned from one of the other ones, medians, and actually it says it down here again, a median of a triangle is a segment that contains a vertex, so that's one of the corners, with the midpoint of the opposite side. So as soon as we hear median, I know that it cut all of these lines in half. And why am I not using the same number of tick marks for each one? Well, if this EL cut the opposite side that is coming to, DF, in half, then this half, DL, and this half, FL, are the same length. It cut it in half. But that doesn't mean that it's the same as KF. That's not what it means. So I use 2 tick marks here because DK cut EF in half since it's in the median, or it goes to the midpoint. So that means that EK and FK are the same length. But they're not going to be the same length as over here. It doesn't mean they can't, but that's not a relationship. And then the same thing over here. So the reason I'm using different tick marks here is 1 to 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3. So it just shows you which ones match right away. So as soon as we hear median, I know I can divide this up quite a bit here. And then it also says they meet at a single point M. So we can see that they're all meeting here at the middle. Or not the middle, but at this point here that looks like the middle. In other words, M is the centroid of triangle DEF. So it's telling us, okay, well, the centroid is the point where all of these medians cross each other. But what does that really mean? The centroid theorem, the medians of a triangle intersect at a point that is 2/3 the distance from each vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. That is called the centroid. So what it means is it divides it up. So if, for instance, the whole length of this one is 3, then this would be 1 and this would be 2. 1 plus 2 gives me 3. So this is 1/3, this is 2/3. So the longer lengths are 2/3, the shorter lengths are 1/3. So it divides it up into this kind of funky triangle here. So let me get rid of these because that's not the distances. They actually do give us other ones. So then we go through and we look at what they gave us. So they're giving us ML, which is this one here. So they tell us this one is 12 instead of 1, like I said. So remember, this is 1/3. So think of it as if it's only gonna let me draw on part of this. It's because of the way I have my pen set up. It's only letting me draw on half of the board. So I don't really want this in the middle here. So I'm thinking of if I take this and I divide it up into into thirds. So I have 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3, like this. So think of 12 as 1/3. I need to know what are the other 2/3. Well, each one is a 12. And if I add it together, because this is 12 and this one is both the other two, then it would be 24. So I'm hoping that little bar helps you understand. If you know 1/3, then you're going to fill in, it's going to be 12 and 12. For the other ones, I'm just going to add them together to get the longer length. Or it's simply the shorter one times 2 for this longer one, because I could have gone 12 times 2, that also gets me 24. So I can use either relationship there. So this one is also the shorter length, and it says it's 11. So I can take 11, I can do a bar like this. So now my thirds are 11s. I don't know why I didn't draw that one. So my thirds are all 11s, and I want to know, well, what is this one? If I add these together, I get 22. And so I can do that, or I can say 11 times 2, and it gets me 22 over here. And then they give me dk, which is the whole thing. So the whole thing, and I'm still working on thirds no matter what. So the whole thing is 27. And sorry, I'm writing up here in the words. The whole thing is 27. I want to divide it into 3 pieces. So 27 divided by 3 is 9. So we want just FK. Let's see. Oh no, FJ, sorry. So we want FJ and EM and sorry, DM. I was losing my mind there a little bit. So we want DM. We want the longer portion here for this one. Okay. So DM, so that would be 2 of them. So that would give me 18 for the longer portion here. So we can go through and fill this in with this relationship here. So I'm going to go ahead and clear, and we're actually going to click start. Oh, hope if I click start, pencil a little bigger here so it's not so small. And then we can actually zoom in a little bit here so that it's a little easier to write. All right, so we have these 3 segments, PT, QU, and RS, are medians of PQR. So right away, I know if these are all medians, then all of these get divided up in half. So this is a median, meaning that this is the midpoint. This is also a median, meaning this is a midpoint. PT is a median. That means that this is a midpoint. So as soon as I know they're midpoints, well, they're all divided up in half. That's kind of a convenient thing to know really quick. And then they all meet at this point in the middle here, which we call the centroid of the circle. Okay, so let's go ahead and fill this in with other information. So I'll make this a little smaller because writing numbers is a little hard with the bigger marker. All right, so QU, so the whole length here, we'll go like that. Well, that's kind of ugly. So this whole length here is 39. PV, so this length here is 16. And RV, so coming here is 18. All right, so now I do like my little, they're not really fraction bars, but they are fraction bars. It's just a little different because I'm actually going to fill them in with a number instead of just being a one hole. It's a little different, but we can think of this as one whole line. So it is still a fraction bar in a way. And each piece of the fraction here depends on the length that they give us. So first they want us to find VS, and I'm going to switch this up to be, let's go with red for this first one. So they want us to find VS, which is this length here. So this is the shorter one from this one. And I know it's the shorter one because it's going from the centroid to the side, to the midpoint. So if it's going from a vertex to the centroid, that's the longer piece. So this longer piece, remember, it has 2/3 in it. So this is 2/3 is 18. I want to divide that up into 2 pieces, so I have 9 and 9. And then I know this other one also has to be 9. So if I want to know what this shorter piece is, it's just one of them. So this is 1/3, this is 2/3. So this answer is going to be 9. All right, let's go ahead and do the next one. Go with kind of a brighter green here. So I'm gonna, I was just gonna use this same box here over and over again just so I don't run out of room. All right, so if we're looking for UV, or sorry, they say VU, same difference. So I want this length here. And remember they told us the whole thing that I marked in blue here was 39. So the whole thing is 39. That's a little too big for my marker. All right, so 39. So sorry, it'll stop writing that big. So the whole thing is 39. I want to divide that up into 3 equal pieces. So I divide by 3 and I get 1 and 13. So I get 1 and 3 because 3 goes into 3 once, goes into 9 3 times. So I know each piece has to be 13. So each one of the thirds is 13. Remember, this is the small one. It's going from the centroid to the midpoint. So that's the small one, and that means it's only one of the thirds. So it's going to be 13. I have 13 in here. All right. And oop, get rid of this. Da, 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 da. Sorry. Fast forward to when I'm not erasing anymore here. All right, and let's do this last piece in pink. Why not? All right, so this last piece, they want PT, so they want this whole length here. So the whole length here, we were given this piece here, which is 16. This is going from a vertex to the centroid, which means that it's 2 pieces. It's 2/3. So 2/3 is 16. I want to divide by 2. And then that tells me what the other third has to be. So if I want the whole thing all together, I just have to add them to all together. So I get 24. All right. So this one's just about manipulating thirds, basically. But the idea here is that if you get the small piece, that's 1/3. If you get the bigger piece, that's 2/3. If you get the whole thing, you need to divide by 3 and piece it up depending on how they want it. All right. So we're going to clear and check. I didn't zoom out there. All right, next. Okay, so I'm not going to draw quite as much on this one. We know that all of these lines, they're telling us that up here, all of these lines are medians, and this G is their centroid point. So then we're given that BF, so the whole thing is 12. So if the whole thing is 12, like this, we want to divide it up into 3 pieces. So we know that's going to be 4, 4, and 4. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to keep moving here. So green. So the next piece we're given is AG. So we're given this piece here. This is the longer piece, and we're given that it's 10. So again, we have 3 pieces. The longer piece is equal to 2 of them. So we have 10 in here, so I'm going to divide by 2. And that tells me that each third is worth 5. Because remember, these are worth 5. Well, if both of these are 5, then that one is also 5. All right, and then we're going to move to the last piece here. We'll do this in blue. So the last piece they give us here is GD, which is this one. So this is the shorter piece. It's going from the centroid to the median. So we're going to, this one's not going to be perfect because it's cutting me off. I need to change my pen a little bit there. So it should go a little farther here, but the pen won't let me because it cuts off halfway through the screen. So they're telling me that this is 4. So this is a third. I know that 1/3 is 4. So if I write 4 in a box, well, they all have 4 in the box. So now that I have all my pieces filled in, I can figure out what do they want over here. So GE, that was for my green. So GE is 1/3. Well, I've already figured that out. It's 5. All right, CD. So this is my blue. So CD is the whole thing. Well, I already know it's 4, 4, and 4. I just have to add them together. So I get 12. BG, so that's this one up here. So they want the longer portion up here. We already divided it up. Remember, the longer portion is worth 2 of them. So I know if they're both worth 4, then it's going to be 8. So let's check. Whoops. Check. And we got our points. All right, so let's clear and we'll do that one more time. Okay, so we have our three segments, and they are medians that meet at point Q, which makes it the centroid. All right, so let's start filling in our pieces here. So we have K, ooh, gotta click my pen tool here. KQ is 4. So remember that means KQ is the longer one. It's going from the vertex to the centroid. So that means it's worth 2 of them, and it's 4. So I'm going to divide by 2. I get 2 here, and then that means that 2 gets filled in there. So I've already filled in the pieces for KQ. And I can look over here. What do they want? They want KP out of this whole thing. KP is the whole thing. So I could very well just come over here and say, well, I know it's 2, 2, 2. So that's 6. Because 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. All right. And let's see. We're going to switch over to another color here. I'll put this over here. And I know that I'm going to be dividing something up into 3, so I can already draw my little box. All right, so the information they give me is LM. So that's this whole line here. And they tell me that the whole line is 36. So remember, it's the whole line is 36. So when they give you the whole line, you divide it up into 3 equal pieces, and we get 12. So each third is worth 12. And the one that they want out of that is QM. So QM is just this piece over here. And this is the smaller one. It's going from the centroid to the midpoint, or the centroid to the side. So that's the smaller one. So that's only worth 1/3. So I can come out here and I can even write in QM has to be 12. All right, last bit here. Let's do this one in pink. So I do know that I'm going to be, sorry, I highlighted all that. I forgot to grab my pen tool. All right, so we do know we're going to be dividing something up into thirds. So they give us QN is 8. So they give us this piece here is 8. So remember, this is going from the centroid to the midpoint. So that means it's worth 1 of the thirds. If 1/3 is 8, then each one is worth 8. And what they want to know is JQ, which is this portion here. That's the longer portion. It's worth 2 of them. So I just add 2 of them together, and I get 16. And check. All right, we finished another one.